Price reductions during.
So like if appraisal comes
Super.
in low or, kind of setting that expectation.
Yeah, so there's two parts to the price reductions during. One, there's a price reduction when you have a listing that's not selling. And then two, there's the price reduction when you have an appraisal issue or you have a repair issue. So we'll start with the listing price reductions. Again, almost everything that we're gonna run into is gonna center around setting expectations. It's the most important part. That is going to be the focal point of everything. If the more time we spend up front, the less time we're gonna spend on the back end. The saying that's resonated with me, I'm a football guy, a 5-minute offense can prevent a 30-minute defense. 30-minute defensive calls fucking suck. They're terrible. You're just backpedaling the entire time and there's emotion and you can't be focused when you're emotional. So when you can just put a 5-minute offense out there, it is so, so powerful. So as far as on your listings, here's the two best ways to handle this. One, set the expectation up front. When I sit down with a client and sign a listing, sign one last night, I told them, our expectation is that we're gonna see an average of 2 showings per week. If we get to the point we have 2 straight weeks where we don't average 2 showings, that's the market letting us know that we're not in alignment. So that means our price is not in alignment with where the market sees this particular neighborhood. So we need to make an adjustment on the price. And if we put that expectation out there up front, and then we don't have 2 showings a week for 2 straight weeks, it's very easy to come back and have that conversation with the client because you can say, hey, remember when we first sat down, we talked about the expectation is, boom, we haven't seen those 2 showings per week. So based on that information, that's the market letting us know we need to make an adjustment. Very, very important, very easy. Have that conversation up front. That's your 5-minute offense. The second part of the 5-minute offense is you also tell the client, we're looking to see an offer within 10 showings. If we get to the point where we don't have an offer within 10 showings, what the market's telling us is, all right, our price is in alignment with where the market's at, but now our price is not in alignment with our property. So what is it about the property that's causing buyers to not write the offer? And now you've got to look, is it something we can fix? Is it the flooring? Is it the ceilings caving in? Is it the place smells? Whatever. Is it something we can fix? If so, then we fix it. Is it something we can't fix? Like it's on a busy street. There's a power plant across the street, something like that. That is something we can't fix. So we got to look at what it is and we need to make an adjustment. Is the adjustment to the condition of the property or is the adjustment to the price to compensate for whatever the issue is? So you got to have that conversation with the client. It's all about alignment. So does our property align with the market? If we're not getting the showings, then it's telling us that our price is here and the market's down here, so we need to adjust. Or is it that we're getting the showings, but we're not getting any offers? Now there's something with the property that's not in alignment with the price. So if we have those conversations up front, it's all about setting the expectation. If we set those expectations, now it's a lot easier to have those conversations with the clients. If you guys haven't seen the weekly update videos that we send out, I'll show you just a quick example of what I like to send, and I strongly encourage you guys to make sure that you guys are getting update videos out every week. So every week I send a video to my clients and I include some information, feedback, how many showings have we had, how many since the last update, how many open houses, do we have anything new scheduled, positive feedback, negative feedback, competition. So all I'm doing for the competition is just pulling the comps, and I'll just show you guys real quick how to make it so this is easy for you. After I log in 4 times to the MLS, because for whatever reason you have to do that over and over and over again. Ooh, make it by 1 time today? No, it's got to make me sign in again. There we go.
There we go.
So I can't just sign in once. That would be weird.
All that good money spent.
Yeah. This happens to everybody, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure it's not just me.
That's what I'm saying later.
All right, so then,
We go to these pitch sessions, but we can't get online.
so what's that? If we log out? Oh yeah, who does that? All right, so what I do, every listing, I always save a search. So now I can go to load save search and I can type in beacon and I already have my beacon search saved. So I don't have to like retype all that criteria every single week. Now I simply hit search here select all, hit this little share icon, and boom, that's the link I'm using. So it takes me that long to update that on a weekly basis. Is that 10 seconds maybe, right? It doesn't take a whole lot of time. And I really like the format that this link comes in. It's very consumer friendly. It doesn't look like the MLS at all. This is like a very digestible format, right? Like this is easy for them to read. It's not super complicated because in all honesty, you guys, I can't even read the fucking MLS. Like I don't even know where stuff is half the time. So I can only imagine what that's like to the average consumer. So I'm a huge fan of sending the competition that way. And then the market stats is just a direct link to the fast stats for that area. And the cool thing is these fast stats, once you put that in there once, it automatically updates. It's what's called a dynamic page. So it just updated to January automatically. Like I didn't have to change that link. This is actually an email that was sent in November. But that link is good today, and now it's showing January stats. So I don't even have to update that. So I send this out to my clients every week, and then I just put a video. It's like a minute-long video. I'll play this just so you guys can see. The reason I like to do it via a video is that it gives the info to the client, and it gives them a little time to digest the info, as opposed to me getting on the phone with them, trying to relay all of this information, and then recommend a price reduction on the phone, because that's when I now get put on that 30-minute defense. By doing it this way,
Whissel wanted to shoot a quick video update as we head into the weekend. Down below, you're going to see all the activity regarding showings. We've had a lot of showings on the property, which is always a good thing. Unfortunately, none of those have resulted in any offers. Time and time again, biggest things have been the power plant. That has been the number one thing that's been an issue for people. Also down below, I've got some links to the competition, and the thing I really want to have you take a look at is there are now 13 homes, well 12, in addition to yours, that are on the market right now within a half mile that are plus or minus 400 square feet. It's a lot. There's only been 3 that have sold in the last 90 days. So you've got about a home selling a month. You've got 13 on the market plus a couple pending. So at this point, I want to make a recommendation that we make an adjustment on the price to make the home more attractive, to stand out from the competition and to offset the power plant. Ultimately, this decision is up to you on what number to go with. I'd ideally like to see us come down to about $575 on the price on this. Again, it's going to be up to you where we go with it, but I think $575 would be the ideal number. So give me a call, shoot me a text, respond to this email, let me know if you guys are comfortable with that number, or if you want to fall somewhere between the $575 and the $600 that we're at now. But with this much inventory, we really got to make the home stand out. That'll make us the lowest priced one in the area, which I think we need to do to offset the power plant there. So take a look over this stuff, give me a call, shoot me a text, shoot me an email. We can chat some more. I hope you have an awesome weekend. We'll talk soon.
so by doing it that way, now the client, they might get pissed off, right? They're like, oh, he's telling me to drop my price 25 grand. So this is how you handle stuff when it comes to the listings and handling price reductions. Then the other side of it is going to be, how do you handle it when you've got requests for repair issues or appraisal issues? Same thing, this comes back to setting expectations. The one that we have over on West California, I don't know if any of you guys showed that one, but the family's owned it for like 70 years. They haven't done shit to it. It's completely original. And the offer came in, and when I discussed the offer with the client, I told them straight up, you know and I know that this house has some deferred maintenance to it. And I want you to be prepared that once a buyer goes in there and does an inspection, there's an extremely high probability they're going to come back and request significant repairs. So I had this exact conversation with the seller. I was like, I want you to be prepared for the fact that they're very likely going to come in with a significant request for repairs. And I tell sellers what I see on average is about 1%. I put that expectation out there from the time we accept the offer. And it's important to do it at that point, not right before the inspection. Do it when they go to accept the offer. I want you to be prepared, Mr. Seller. Yes, we're going to accept this offer for $1.2 million, but I want you to be prepared for a high probability they're going to request somewhere around $10,000 or $15,000 worth of credit. So I want to make sure you're comfortable with this number, with the expectation that you might have to come down 10 or 15,000. Yeah. You've got to prepare the seller for it. So that was important, right? First, we did it when we talked about the offer and the price and the terms. Luckily, we got multiples and drove it way up over list. So now the seller's excited because now we got 1.23. So we got 30,000 over. But the seller's happy with 1.2. So now I got a $30,000 buffer to play with, which is great. So because we talked about it up front, they're already expecting a huge hit on the price. Fucking buyer went out there and turned the water on and water started shooting all over the house. So it's probably gonna be $30,000. But we also, then when we scheduled the inspection, we sent them the video. And in the video, it tells them exactly what to expect. So the buyer's gonna come out, they're gonna do their inspection. The reason they're doing the inspection is they're gonna be looking for any sort of health and safety issues. If they find issues, this is how the process works. So again, if you guys use these 10-step videos, they're doing some of this expectation setting for you because they're going to tell the client, this is what a home inspection is, this is what's gonna happen, and here's what happens if they find issues on it. And you want to set the expectation that they're going to find issues. You don't want to pretend like, oh, well, hopefully they don't find anything. Like, don't ever say that. That's one of the worst things that you could tell a client because now you tell them hopefully they don't find anything. There's no way you can win unless they find nothing. And how many deals have you done, Mike, where there's been nothing, no request for repairs? Like zero. Like it's virtually never that you're going to have a deal with no request for repairs. 99% of transactions. 99% of transactions will have a request for repairs. It's just gonna happen. You're not gonna avoid it. So set the expectation. There's gonna be a request for repairs. Set a good conservative number of about 1% because, you know, at a 1.2 months, 12,000. That's a pretty good buffer, right? If I'm doing a $500,000 house, set an expectation for 5. Now, how many times have you actually seen a 1% hit?
50% of the time, maybe.
If that, right? It's usually less, right? For the most part, it's going to be significantly less. Brian, how many times have you seen on a $5,000 property of $500,000 property of 5,000 repairs? Rarely, right? Which is perfect. So the one thing my dad taught me in negotiating is always under promise and over deliver. So if I under promise there, I set the expectation they're going to get hit for $5,000 on a $500,000 property, and the request for repairs comes back at $2,000. Now I look like a hero because I just got $3,000 more in their pocket than what they were expecting. So it's good to set an expectation that you're going to get hit for around 1%, and then they get hit for $500 and they're stoked. So you set it when they accept the offer. You set the expectation when the inspection is scheduled. And now when you actually sit down and review the request for repairs for them, there's another video that conveniently is already recorded for you guys that explains that renegotiation process. And that also encompasses the appraisal thing. So just like on that lakeside property, I told my sellers up front, yes, we got an offer at 635. I don't think there's a chance in hell this thing's appraising for 635. So you need to be...
Super Bowl tickets on it.
No, too risky. So I set that expectation with them up front. There's no chance in hell this is appraising for 635. The highest sold comp I can find in the entire zip code is 620. So best case scenario, we're probably going to end up around 620. So just be prepared to come down to that number. Well, the appraisal came in at 635. Now I'm a fucking hero. So if we set those expectations up front, now when that price reduction does come in, your client's expecting it, or maybe you end up somewhere like that one, maybe the appraisal comes in at 630. Well, my client was expecting 620, so now I look like a hero there as well. So always under promise and then over deliver. It's always going to work out well for you when it comes to negotiations.